This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
There he is. He is ready to go.
Can we just change the name to the Acura Pembroke Pines Kevin Durant report? We'll change it back at the beginning of September when maybe we have a clue. But Big O, I was even thinking this morning, you know the one you've spoken. Matter of fact, when we did all this planning for the Big O show,
the Sixers option now, Ira.
Oh, and we'll get to that in a second. When you came to me and we first started this over at Onside and now with the Big O show and our Acura Pembroke Pines report, you said you wanted to go year round because the NBA was year round.
Of course.
And then you had a summer like this where on one hand, and I sort of been thinking about this the last few days, the NBA has slowed down because of Kevin Durant.
Yeah, this has been the worst off season in, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years.
I'm gonna sort of go another way with this. Adam Silver, if he can't get a busy personnel offseason, wants to keep his league out there. Kevin Durant has done an unbelievable job of keeping the NBA out there because not only is he involving the overall speculation of the league, the NBA schedule will be out next week. We'll talk about that in our Acura Pembroke Pines report, in our Red Recover Inside the Paint on Wednesday. But he's involved so many different teams. It's fantastic. The Kevin Durant story, remember when it all started? It was a Warrior story and whether he was going back there. Then it was a Phoenix Suns story until DeAndre Ayton did his offer sheet and couldn't go there. Then it was the Heat. Then it was Jaylen Brown and the Celtics. Now it's Toronto. Now it's Philadelphia. Kevin Durant has created the type of offseason buzz that if the NBA was lacking, he's filled everything. It's remarkable. I do not recall LeBron James, when he did all his offseason, we can call them shenanigans or spotlight seeking, he was done 2 weeks into July. Kawhi Leonard, when he kept us all on hold in Vegas, okay, it was July 10th, 11th, 12th. We were done there. Kevin Durant has owned the NBA, and here's the fascinating thing. No NBA player is more cognizant of social media, has more burner accounts on social media. Yet in that realm, he has said nothing. He has denied nothing. And I always say this, you don't have to deny the negative, deny the falsehood. I understand that. The Heat will always tell us, hey, if we deny trade X, Y, and Z, then you're going to go, aha, rumor A you didn't address, so I can see that. But if anything is so blatantly wrong, if he didn't demand Steve Nash being fired, if he didn't demand Sean Marks being fired, if he didn't open up his trade list to other teams, all he has to do is to go on Twitter. We're all following, all gabillion of us, and tell us, hey, there's nothing to it. So there is smoke and there is fire here, and it's holding the NBA hostage. But man, Big O, this also is fascinating how one player has dominated a league for the last month. Hell, we've almost forgotten about Donovan Mitchell. You and I couldn't stop talking about Donovan Mitchell. So I think the summer of slow NBA really has become the summer of Durant.
Yeah, and it's going to end up coming to like a head at one point where it's going to explode and a whole bunch of deals are going to take place too. And it's going to put a lot of teams up against, I guess in a difficult position because they're going to have to make quick turnarounds because, by the way, we're approaching the middle of August now and training camps will open up in just over a month. So, now the sands of the hourglass are kind of running out too at the same time because now you're running into the season. It's not so much the Durant move. It's the domino effect of all the other players that are waiting to happen because we still don't know if John Collins is going to get moved. What's going to happen with Jay Crowder? What's going to happen with Harrison Barnes? What's going to happen with Miles Turner? It's all these other dominoes that need to happen. And even the Utah kid is waiting for what happens with Brooklyn.
Donovan Mitchell also in there. And the other part of this equation is, one of the big stories in sports the last few months has been the Live Golf Tour and how golfers are independent contractors and they have every right to only think of themselves because it's not a team sport. And if I want to go with Saudi money, if I want to just, stay loyal to the tour, if I want to be a Tiger side or Phil side, that's fine. The NBA is supposed to be a fraternity. It is a team sport. There is a players association, the NBPA, that works together. And yet the reality is these are a bunch of independent contractors for this reason. Kevin Durant knows he's holding up an entire league. Kevin Durant knows the very players he will hug at midcourt, from Tyler Hero to Tobias Harris to Jaylen Brown during the season and maybe during the All-Star game. He now has all of their futures in his hands. And what it really shows you is these guys can talk for all they want about continuity and teamwork and all that. These guys are independent contractors. Who's Kevin Durant looking out for right now? Kevin Durant. And only Kevin Durant. And so, yeah, if I'm a player, I go to the Players Association and I say, hey, am I buying or renting in Boston? Am I buying or renting in Philly? If I'm Tyler Hero, am I getting my extension or am I being put on hold through October? So it's a really interesting situation there. I almost wondered in the background if Adam Silver wasn't going, guys, this is really late for our schedule. Should we give the Brooklyn Nets the maximum 20 national broadcasts because they're fascinating even in a crash and burn scenario? Or are we going to wind up featuring Royce O'Neal like we did, Julius Randle for 20 games?
Lakers East. Are we going to feature
Yes.
Lakers East? Because that's what they did to us last year. They kept feeding us the effing Lakers.
And the Knicks.
I had no interest in watching the stupid Lakers. And by the way, the NBA is always way ahead of the NFL. This is the one time the NFL is ahead of them. How about a flex schedule, baby? All right,
Yeah,
let's go. Come on.
And instead, ABC locks in those Saturday showcases, and they're done for the year. There is a little bit of schedule change, and we've seen it with the Heat over the years, but we don't know. Oh, I agree. Last season,
flex them out, dude. If you know they suck already a month or two ahead of time, you got plenty of time to change what game you want. Come on, man. Let's go.
Except the difference is the NFL has limited dates. The problem with the NBA is we know that Turner gets Tuesday, Thursday, ESPN gets Wednesday, Friday. So you sort of have to have the inventory in the right place. This has been a real puzzle for the league. The schedule will be out next week. I think they are thinking of either or games. But Big O, last year between when I came home from FTX Arena and turned on TNT or ESPN, I'm like, no, I don't want to watch the Lakers again. Or when it was a day off and I sat in front of the TV and I turned on Turner and ESPN and saw it was a Knicks game, hey, there was no choice. I was watching the Panthers instead. They made it easy for me. But this whole Durant thing, and now Philadelphia, and I just don't get it. Are you telling me right now that all of a sudden Tyrese Maxey is good enough to get this deal done? Because it sure as heck ain't Tobias Harris with that monster contract he has to be a fourth element, a fourth man on a team. It's just so all over the place that I think it really almost has to come down to Adam Silver, Sean Marks, or even Joe Tsai and Kevin Durant in a room and saying, hey, this isn't just about you. This is about our league, our new TV deal, our rising revenues. Let's get something done. Because the more it drags on, Big O, I want to be in Brooklyn for Media Day on September 26th. I can only imagine.
Okay, but now the hilarious part is Durant gives Joe Tsai an ultimatum, and he says whether it's me or Nash and Sean Marks. And look, far be it from me or any of us to defend Steve Nash, because he has not shown us anything as a head coach that he's at least I give Steve Kerr, who also did not deserve the job when he got it, but over time has proven to us that, you know what, he's definitely a damn competent coach and he can do it. Steve Nash has not shown us a damn thing so far. So I get it. But here's the thing. If you're Kevin Durant, how do you have the balls to look at those two when you're the one that wanted Kyrie? And also you got your buddy Harden, who's overweight and a slob. You know, come on, man. If you're going to point fingers at anybody, point it at those two idiots. Don't point it at the other idiots. Come on.
Especially at Sean Marks, the GM, who has given him everything he wanted. I would love to put Sean Marks on the lie detector and say this with each move. Is this something you truly wanted, or is this something you truly believe would keep Kevin Durant content? So you made it. So you gave in for it. The Kyrie signing, the James Harden trade, some of the moves he's made otherwise, not giving away your future drafts because Kevin Durant is 34 and is not going to be around when those drafts are made. So I can get all of that. I understand all of that. Even the Slomin's home shield man is raising his hand and saying enough is enough. For those watching us on the YouTube channel, I get all of that. But man, it's just when I look at that to try to get rid of the general manager there, that's where I think you're sort of overstepping your bounds because Sean Marks has bent over backwards to give him everything he wants. You know what, Big O? I'm with you to this degree. I don't think Steve Nash has necessarily done anything wrong. He's growing as a coach. It was a COVID season. He had a player who couldn't play, who played only half the games. He had another player who decided to get fat again because he wanted to get traded. There's some things you can't overcome. And I do agree. If you put in a Jeff Van Gundy or a winning, proven coach, maybe Stan Van Gundy, someone like that, you will be better because they've been there, seen it, done it in the playoffs.
Right.
No offense to Steve Nash. It's the same thing as when Jason Kidd tried to coach Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce and Darren Williams and was learning on the job himself.
Right. Yeah.
That's a decision they made. They made it in concert with Kevin Durant, who stood up for his coach. But at some point, it's interesting. I love sort of conjecture and controversy. It makes for very easy writing. But on the other hand, and you're in the same business, Big O, because you got a big mouth yourself. But on the other hand, isn't there a point where you almost want to go to Kevin Durant, shut the F up, and just get something done?
Yes, of course I do. Yes, I'm tired of it, and it's what you said, to get back to one of the points you just made, that the commissioner would be saying, it's not just about you, dude. There's there's a livelihood of a lot of people. Like you, I don't even know if he's married or not, but Harrison Barnes, if he's going to get moved, well, brother, he needs to get moved to a new city. Does he have a wife or a girlfriend? Do they have kids? All these people, their lives.
Crowder, Miles Turner, John Collins, up and down the line. Absolutely.
Yeah. So there's a lot of adjustments for teams, for players, for families. So let's, it's almost like, let's have a heart here. Hey, Kevin, dude, you're a petulant child. You've had your way every single time. You're the idiot that left a great situation in Golden State. Why? Because you let people get in your head that, oh, you went to a ready-made team. Well, brother, you won 2 championships and you were the best player. That justifies why you went there with all the pressure. You answered it and you were the best player. You should have stayed there. You had no business in leaving. You have created this hell for yourself, and now you're creating hell for everybody else in the league. It gets to a point where you're like, Kevin, enough is enough, brother.
And the thing is, he went to Brooklyn because he wanted the New York market. He wanted to do his marketing and his business, and God bless him. You have that right. We can all be complete people.
LeBron went to LA. It's right.
You can want more. You can be a sports writer trying to do radio to the best of your ability because you want to try something and do a little bit more. But let me get this straight now. He wanted the largest market in New York in the Eastern Conference that he could take over. But now he's willing to go to Philadelphia or Miami or Toronto, leaving the country, or Boston. That's where it sort of gets odd. And that's why I'd like to see Kevin Durant get on social media and just let us know, what are you asking for? What are you looking? What are the rules of this KD game that you're putting out there? That's what makes this whole thing sort of so unnerving and so confusing. And it just keeps on going.
All right, so I'm reading your article, and okay, so the Heat, I know soon, whenever I retire from radio, my favorite number is 4, and they'll probably retire it, not cyclically, it will be for me, because they retire everybody's number. So now we're retiring, of course, for Bill Russell, but they're going to retire it a second time for LeBron. So we're going to have 2 6s?
Well, the 2 6s in 2 different places. As you know, the Dan Marino jersey and the Michael Jordan jersey are buried on the top of the rafters and not in a spotlight against the south wall. So you'd have to strain your eyes to see it there. The other banners of Shaq and Alonzo and Hardaway and Wade and Bosh are prominent, as they should be, for their numbers there. But you do not disagree with retiring LeBron's jersey, correct? Really?
Yeah, him and Shaq, I'm not really into, because it's short. You know what I mean? I know it was impactful. I know they won the titles, but it was so short that I just kind of want you to be here longer. If I'm going to retire your number, I need you to be here for a long period of time. And then how he ended the run here and how he screwed Riley and the moratorium and all of that. If he didn't handle it the right way, even coming here, him and Bosh, I hated that they forced Riley to trade the picks so they could keep the bird rights and all that, which morons, all those picks could have helped this thing keep going if you let Riley keep them so he can use them as trade bait to get people, and they hurt themselves along the way. I just have a hard time retiring the number of hit and run players, even though they brought a title. I kind of want the guy that feels like he's like Tim Hardaway is a Heat player.
Sure.
Alonzo Mourning's a Heat player. Dwayne Wade is a Heat player. You know what I mean? Bam will be a Heat player. Jimmy is now developing into that he is bleeding for this team. He wants to be here. Not let me use you as my stepping stone as the was it the Monkeys? Was it the Monkeys? Is that was that the Monkeys? I'm not your stepping stone. Who was that?
You got me. You got me there.
I don't know. Anyways, stepping stone. Tell me who it is. Anyway, so that's the only reason why it bothers me a little bit. The LeBron and Shaq one. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, and they both ended ugly on the way out the door. My perfect scenario is you retire LeBron's number.
Huh?
You have this.
Oh, Paul Revere and the Red Raiders.
Paul Revere and the Raiders. There you go. So you have your ceremony for LeBron. You bring him out there. You have the jersey on the easel over there. And then you have Pat Riley step to the podium and going, I'd love to be here, but I got to go watch the soccer game. And he just walks off. Then everything would wind up going full circle. So maybe you do that. But you know what, Big O? Yes, it's a short tenure, but 4 straight trips to the NBA Finals and 2 of your franchise's 3 NBA championships. It's interesting. When I spoke to Kurt Heelan on our Red Recover Inside the Paint show, 9 a.m. on Wednesdays here on the Big O Show, he thought the Lakers are going to retire eventually.
Oh, I'm sure
LeBron's number.
That's LA, bro. Yeah.
Right. So it's that's just sort of where you go with that. And I got to tell you, it would be odd to sort of have Wade and Bosh knowing you had a big 3 and not having the third member of the big 3. So I think that even more than Shaq sort of gets him in the door for that. You know what I think the weirdest thing is going to be?
So in Toronto, they're going to retire our boy's numbers because he was there for 1 year and popped the title and left?
You know, Kawhi is a little bit different there. Maybe 1 year doesn't meet your statute of limitations.
But it's a title, right? That's the same thing as Shaq.
Well, that's true. And Shaq, I always thought was questionable. Shaq, I always thought fewer than 4 seasons. The way he left, I thought that, and the way he quit before he left. LeBron, you could say he quit at the end of 2014, but he didn't. He played his LeBron best pretty much to the finish. That's the difference.
Oh, yeah, no. But what he did in that offseason, how he handled it, that I think was absolutely unfair to Riley. He should not have done that. He owed the Heat franchise to at least leave and give them the opportunity to grow themselves out instead of choking them out and then telling them after the moratorium. And and on top of all of that, you sign these 2 bums that you thought was going to make him happy, and you draft a kid that you thought was going to make him happy. I mean, that just God.
No, there certainly was a lot there. But then again, look at what Michael
Jordan. And if Wade is really your best friend,
well,
you're really not telling him what you're doing.
You know
Come
what?
on, dude.
And that brings us full circle today in our Acura Pembroke Pines report, just like Kevin Durant right now. Is Kyrie your friend? Shouldn't he deserve to be on a team you know? Are any of the Nets players you've grown close to your friends? Shouldn't they know what their season's going to be? Are some of these players you're going to be traded for? Hey, supposedly he's very close to Bam Adebayo after they won the Olympics exactly 1 year ago, last August in Tokyo. So aren't you guys close in that regard? Jimmy Butler, the same kind of thing. It's a different world that now, because of social media, we found out about Riley and we found out about that meeting in Vegas where Riley was going to roll the presentation in and LeBron said, I got a soccer game on. I got to watch, coach. Don't have time right now. Let's face it. Michael Jordan treated Jerry Krause far worse than LeBron ever treated Pat Riley. His number's in the rafters. He has a statue in Chicago. It's out of the way. Big O, we know one thing for all the interviews you do throughout the rest of the day today is the athletes rule the world. It's their world, and we're just all living in it.
Yeah, you're right about that. All right, what are you working on this Sun Sentinel, my friend?
Just posted a story today on not only is Bill Russell, there's going to be a commemorative patch, they're going to retire his number around the NBA, but every team is going to have a small clover logo around the scoring table on the court to commemorate Bill Russell. And how if anyone is seeing crimson over clover, to use a rock and roll reference for you, yes. Can you imagine a Pat Riley run team having a Celtics logo on his court? Can you imagine the Lakers having a Celtics logo on their court? It'll be really interesting to me to see how that plays out. I honestly think, and look, what Bill Russell did for society and for the game and everything is a beyond question, anything like that. But I thought I like even how they said a clover-like logo, not a Celtics-like logo, not a shamrock. We all know what it is. I think that's overstepping bounds a
Yes.
little bit.
Yes.
Having a Celtics logo on all 30 NBA courts this coming season. Look, if there's greatness, that's fine. But what do you do then after eventually Magic Johnson passes and Larry Bird passes and Michael Jordan passes? You're sort of leaving that open to sort of starting a trend. Look, this was a quick decision. I understand they had to make it ahead of the season. But man, Big O, watching Heat games and seeing a shamrock in the court at FTX Arena, that's going to take a little adjusting.
Yeah, no, I'd rather you have a moment where the arena goes dark and you have some lasers go down onto the floor and do that for a moment, and then it disappears.
And then it's gone. Yeah.
And then it's gone. You know what I'm saying? You do what some of these European leagues, which I know it's going to come to the NBA. You see what they're going to do, Ira? They've created an LED floor, and now your floor will light up, and so the floor will have all the lines of the NBA court. And then when they come off the court and you want to play volleyball, boom, it'll light up into volleyball instead. And then when they're on a break, they're on a timeout, the entire floor will be your advertising. And it'll all change. The basketball floors around the world are about to change. And they're about to become
the signage
television
you see
screens.
even on courts now when you don't know what's there and what's not there, when they superimpose it on the Panthers ice, when they superimpose it on the glass behind. So yeah, and look, once we start
no more taping courts and with the volleyball court taped over, and all colleges and pros will end up with these new LED type of floors that'll be able to change at a second and be able to do whatever you want and entertain the crowd too at the same time. And that's the kind of stuff that you use for that, because that it's blasphemous to have a Celtic logo anywhere on the Heat floor or any other floor that isn't this. That's almost like, I don't know, your cell phone falling out of your pocket as you're stealing a base.
I'll leave it at that. Clover-like logo. Why don't they just say leprechaun-like logo? I mean, come on, who are we kidding?
Yeah, exactly. That's the last thing we need, a stinking leprechaun inside every building. We only had to deal with one inside one building. Now we got to have them in all. I mean, what is Jennifer Aniston also going to be in all the buildings with the leprechaun?
I'll leave that to you.
All right. Follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat. Catch his work at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Make sure you subscribe, por favor, and support our terrific journalist. Ira, as always, we will catch up next week, my friend. Have a fantastic weekend. Thank you.
Catch you Monday on another Acura Pembroke Pines Miami Heat report. Thank you, Big O.
Thank you. There you go. The great Ira Winderman and our Acura Pembroke Pines Miami Heat report.